Something happens at about 30 minutes in when you watch Duel by Steven Spielberg. A TV movie, only his second film ever, from 1971, it's a minimalist, low-budget action movie. It follows a man on the road plagued by a harassing semi-truck. It's 90 minutes long, and that's it. That's the story. You might think, how does such a simple story, if you can even call it a story, fill 90 minutes? It might work for a short film, but how does it work for a full movie? The answer to that question comes at 30 minutes in, where the movie, without being manipulative or needy, compels a certain thought in the viewer. Every viewer watching the movie in earnest will have the same powerful thought at the exact same time. Only after the experience, when they snap out of it, would anyone be able to dissect what just happened. But something they might think is, how the hell did Spielberg do that? Here's the scene. Let's take a second and just check it out. A man looking over the patrons of a restaurant, skeptically. So what's so special about this, you might think? Now what if I told you this scene lasts 16 minutes? That's crazy, you might say. There's no way that could be entertaining for that long. Anyone who's ever tried to make a movie themselves knows that 16 minutes is an eternity, unless you have something very compelling to relate to the viewer. So what is Spielberg relating here in this scene that sustains it? In fact, it's one of the best scenes in all of cinema. I say this with no hyperbole. Duel is a legendary movie, and this is its legendary scene. Its only flaw is that it's so good it overshadows the rest of the film. This is a common problem with interactivity, or what Francois Truffaut calls the laws of audience participation. Any story involves two: the storyteller, in this case the movie itself, made by Spielberg with a team of collaborative artists, and the audience. The movie can involve the audience in various ways by giving them something to do with the visual and audio information it passes on. They can anticipate, reflect, cross-reference, re-examine based on new information, judge relativity, and more. Suspense, mystery, dramatic irony, and paranoia are all forms of audience participation. You can think of it as a dance, but in truth, it's more like a shaman and a spy. The shaman is channeling, speaking in tongues, having an out-of-body experience. The spy, invisible, floating, also having an out-of-body experience, watching. If the shaman touches the spy, even looks at them, the experience breaks. Nobody, except maybe quantum physicists, can say exactly why, but we sense the role of the spy is equally as important as that of the shaman. Now, I showed you some of the special scene from Duel, and it wasn't anything special. That's because we aren't privy to the context of the scene yet. The real magic, the subtext of the scene, is revealed through context. Context creates subtext. You could say context is a setup, and Spielberg sets up the scene masterfully. So let's relay the context to you. Let's take it from the start. Here's our boy. Look at him. Listening to the radio, driving. That's what he's doing. He's going somewhere. We're going with him. After a while, not too long, he encounters the truck. And it's a little weird. It's going kind of slow and blowing exhaust right in his face. He's coughing and stuff. So he passes the truck. He thinks nothing of it. He's moving on. But then the truck passes him right back. And then it slows down even more and continues to blow exhaust right in his face. So when he gets the chance, he passes one more time. And he tries to get a good look at the driver, but fails. Then the truck honks long and hard at him, like it's pissed. And that's it, though. He kind of leaves it, it disappears into the rear view, and he moves on. But the experience is a little off-putting for him. He's kind of thinking about it, but before he knows it, he's over it, and he's back chuckling to the radio in no time. He pulls in to get gas. And sure enough, the truck pulls in too, right next to him. He tries to get a look at the driver, but from the angle, he just doesn't get his chance. The timing doesn't quite work out. But he does, however, get a look at the driver's boots. He's wearing cowboy boots. So he goes into the gas station. He makes a call to his wife. It's kind of the moment's past. He heads down the road. He encounters the truck again, going over a small mountain pass. And again, the truck slows down, deliberately annoying him, slowing him down, blowing smoke in his face. He comments that he's going to miss his appointment. He tries to pass, but this time it won't let him, swerving back and forth to block him. At one point, the driver, from his hand, you just see his hand, he waves him on, but it's directly into oncoming traffic and he almost gets into an accident. At this point, he senses he could have died and he has some trouble processing it. He's kind of escalating in his own mind the situation. He's realizing that the stakes are a little higher than he previously realized, that he might be dealing with a psychopath here. Finally, he has a chance to pass, and he takes it. So zoom, he zooms past the truck. He's trying to get away, and then the truck comes after him. It honks its horn, speeding towards him. He barely avoids it, but he has to speed up to 90 miles an hour just to stay ahead of it. It's like trying to rear end him, and it does. It bangs him up a couple times, and he's going like 100 miles an hour. It's honking its horn. So he ends up skidding off into a parking lot. Lucky that he passes a parking lot. Kind of loses control through the parking lot. Again, lucky he doesn't crash worse, but he does spin into a fence and crash into the fence. The truck, meanwhile, just keeps going. So it's gone now. Okay, start the time on our 16-minute scene. A man asks him if he's okay. He stumbles into the diner to collect himself. The movie's pace slows down, but we stay in real time. That is, we aren't cutting forward and back in time. We aren't skipping anywhere. We're staying with our guy. 1 second equals 1 second. If our guy is going to walk across a big parking lot to the diner, we'll stay with him the whole way. Normally, you wouldn't do this. Normally, this kind of liminal space in a movie would be boring and you cut it out. But we're staying with him the whole way. At this point, the psychological connection with the main character is pretty strong, even if we don't realize it. Part of that is this real-time, time-passing connection, that we're just staying with him in the moment. He's catching his breath, we're catching our breath. Everything he knows, we know, which is almost nothing, and that's part of the frustration. Why? Why was that truck tormenting him? He laments this in the bathroom. We're still just with him, and he stumbles back out. It's been a few minutes now. The guy running the diner still wants to know what happened. Just a minor complication, he says. Seems like a pretty damn big complication to me, the diner owner says, to a chuckle from the patrons of the restaurant. Our guy continues to stumble past and goes to leave when he sees this. Now think about this image without the context of the storytelling. It's a truck in a gravel driveway. It's nothing. It's boring. But with context, this scene holds a big implication, a big revelation. Now the movie isn't telling us what the revelation is. Then they say, show don't tell. But here's the thing. The movie isn't showing us the revelation either. The movie is showing us a boring picture of a truck in a parking lot. The revelation exists above the sound and the pictures. At this point, we are dealing with something completely different. This doesn't always happen in movies. It's pretty rare and hard to set up perfectly, but when it happens, it's magical. And this is one of those best examples of that. The revelation, of course, is that the fact that the truck is in the parking lot means the driver is probably somewhere in the diner right now. Now think about the images I showed you at the beginning. What was once boring is now riveting and powerful. What was once a catch-your-breath scene is now a psychological thriller. The intensity exists only from the implications that the audience is tracking. The audience is creating it. The movie is neither showing nor telling them any of this. That's interactivity. Showing and telling are overrated. The movie at this point has set up such a strong charge for the scene that it can show us anything. Everything has meaning in this place, as our guy wonders who the truck driver could be. By the way, our story up to this point is that our driver is harassed by a truck. What is the story now? There's almost no story at this point. It's so primal. But you might say it's the fact that he wants to know if any of the people in the restaurant are the truck driver. As you remember, he's seen the truck driver's boots. So he looks at their boots. That's the plot. It's so zoomed in, it's almost beyond real time now, on the fine details, that everything matters. To our guy, the driver, and to us, the viewer. Remember, just a few minutes ago, we were wondering how Spielberg would even fill 90 minutes about a guy harassed by a truck on the road. Now we understand what he is capable of. Check out this shot. See what I mean? When people say a movie is shot well, or they say that's a great shot, they usually mean it's well framed and looks great. But there's another meaning for a great shot, and that's it. It's perfect storytelling. The shots all combo too. Everything has meaning. Movies aren't always like this. It's kind of rare. As our 16-minute real-time set piece escalates, our guy finally picks his main suspect to confront. The man is incensed by the accusation and attacks him right back, physically. In the chaos after the fight, the man leaves, storms out the door. Our guy recovers to look out the window and sees someone leave in a different truck, probably the guy he just accused, but we can't actually be sure. Then he sees the truck, the big truck, leave as well. This is what he was waiting for. He has to get a look in that chassis and identify the driver. Motivated by his curiosity, yes, but now also motivated by his pride, to see if his guess, the man he accused from earlier, still not fully disproven, was right. Unfortunately, the truck gets away, and our driver is left with an uncertain future as he continues his journey. The threat still exists out there. He can only hope he avoids another encounter. So that's the power of interactivity. It's a charge that exists above the words and the pictures. It pulls the audience in and puts them in a complementary trance with the story. When they snap out of it, they will think, how did they do that? If you like this content on storytelling interactivity, check out my other video on the subject featuring Marlon Brando's One-Eyed Jacks, as well as the full book I wrote on the subject. Link in description.